Okay, guys, today we are going to do the lab dealing with the phase change of a pure substance. And that pure substance is paradichlorobenzene that we're going to work with. So this is the paradichlorobenzene. It's moth flakes or moth balls. You would usually have this on here, but I took it off getting ready for the lab. It is in its solid state right now. So what we're going to do is have to heat it up to get it to melt. Okay, along with this, we are going to use one of these temperature probes right here. This is the vernier one, and this connects right to your iPad. And through graphical analysis, I am going to take the data and then I'm going to upload it for you, and you should be able to open the file in graphical analysis and be able to look at the graph yourself. For the lab, we're not going to do a formal lab write-up, but what I would like you to do is upload the lab to Notability. Okay, open it up, then you can go through and look at the information where it's asking you to put the graph. You're going to be able to take a screenshot or a picture of the graph or copy it, whatever, and put it in there. And then there's going to be analysis questions. So read through the graph itself, the lab itself, and I'm going to go ahead and get this started. The water is starting to heat up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my paradichlorobenzene in there, put the thermometer in there. It's not going to sink in there yet because that stuff's pretty hard, but I'm going to start collecting my data. And you can see the data is collecting across there as we go. One thing I had to do is click on time-based the rate sample and change it to manual stop, so it doesn't just stop after 5 or 10 seconds or whatever the case may be. So this has to run for a little bit, probably takes about 10 minutes or so. So we're going to let that go. I'm going to get a cold water bath ready for the second part of this little lab. And let's continue watching that as this thing is going along. I'm going to run and grab the ice. You can see what's happening. We have sort of it's heating up a little bit, but not terribly much. It's sort of a plateau that we're seeing, and that's what's going to look like when we have a phase change diagram like that. Okay, I'm going to continue to let this heat. It's only been heating for a minute and a half or so. It usually takes 7 to 10 minutes to heat up to the temperature necessary to melt this through. What you're going to see is this is going to jump up. This is temperature versus time. All of a sudden, when this stuff is done, you're going to see a bit of a rise in that thing instead of this gradual one that we have. While that's going, I'm going to grab myself some ice so you guys continue to watch the graph, see what's going on. I will be back momentarily. So our solution's still heating. Looks like it's starting to melt. It's getting there. Not quite all done, so it's still on the rise. Once it's all done melting, then the temperature should start to rise for us there. I also have my ice water ready. We get 3 cubes of ice in there, and that should be cold enough to do the second part of this. It's almost all melted. There's still a little solid left, but when we really get the solid, we're going to see that temperature go up. That's what we're looking to see here. It accommodates us. And we're almost there. There's just a little bit of solid left in the bottom there. You can see we really have a pretty nice plateau there. Well, earlier in the graph, it was a little bit different, so that's good. That's working pretty well for us. I'm gonna let it go for another couple minutes. And it seems to be working nicely. It's fun when the lab works ready. Works well for us. Now, if you guys were here, you'd get to smell this stuff. This paradichlorobenzene, another name for that, is mothballs or moth flakes. It's a white chemical that you can buy right at the, I know we were at Cub yesterday, I saw they had boxes of it. You can buy it, it's used to protect like wool clothing and clothing that gets stored over long times. Like it used to be specifically, I remember, for wool sweaters. And then the moths wouldn't get at them and eat holes in them and stuff like that. So that's what this stuff is specifically for. And I think we're getting pretty darn close to being done. The temperature has started to rise again. We had a nice little plateau and now the temperature's going up. I'm going to let it go for another minute or two. I think we'll go for, yeah, we've only been going for about 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to give it another couple minutes to let this finish. So a phase change diagram of any chemical compound or element is going to look very similar. It's going to have the rate rises in temperature, then it's going to have plateaus, and then it's going to have rises again. Okay, make sure that you're working on your unit 2 packet, look that through. Also today, please do be aware that you need to take the 15-minute, it's 10-point 15-minute quiz on the stuff to start with unit 2 that became available this morning, and it goes offline at 11:59. The lab, we will have the whole week to work on, just so you guys know. And now the temperature's really started to go up. We can see it getting closer and closer to 80 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to let it go for another minute or two until it does get up to 80. Don't worry, if you can't see it as well as you would like, I will make sure that this file gets attached to our instruction page, and you can upload this right into Graphical Analysis 4, and you should also be able to see what's going on there. So the temperature's going. We've been going for quite a while now. At the very end, I'll hit stop, and then I just have to reset things before I flip it over to the cold water bath. And this also works pretty nicely, so it's a good little lab for us. I've got about 1 minute left here. We're getting close to 80. We're not quite all the way up there, but we're getting close. And it's a gradual rise. If this was water, it'd be a much steeper rise as you would watch it go up, but it does work all right. Yep, we have pretty much all liquid in there now, so that worked okay. We'll go for about another half a minute, and then we'll watch what happens here with the cold water bath. I am going to leave it going on this, so you only have to do one graph, and you can actually, once you upload the file to Graphical Analysis 4 and open it, you should be able to isolate certain parts of the graph if you want to do that. Should be almost there. We're almost at 80 degrees Celsius, as you can see. And that was the goal, to get all the way up to 80. That should mean any impurities or anything, everything should be melted and nice and solid for us. We're very, very close to 80 now, and the time is up, so I'm going to pull this out. Now I'm going to switch this immediately to the cold water bath. And you're going to see a corresponding drop in the temperature pretty quickly until it starts to solidify. And when it does, and it's hard to see because it fogged up a little bit, but when it does solidify, it should level out again for us. And you can see it's dropping pretty rapidly there. I'm going to pour this out. If this was 100 degrees Celsius, I wouldn't be picking it up with my fingers, but 80 is sort of doable. It's not that ridiculously hot that we can't handle it. And you can see what's happening. The cooling is starting to slow down. And this is solidifying already. And we will let this go down until it gets to about 20 degrees Celsius or so. And you can see as this goes along, it also starts to flatten out the curve as more and more of this stuff finishes changing back over to a solid. And I do like that it sort of flips over on its own, saves us doing a little extra work there. And our curve is flattening out. Really works pretty darn well. We're down to 29 point some degrees Celsius, so we're going to try and get down to 20, and then I think we'll stop it. Should only take another minute or so. The first part of the lab, heating it up, takes quite a while. Cooling her back down, because I always like to go with ice instead of just water, does go pretty quickly, and we really get a nice little plateau at the very end, and you can see it starting to really level out for us. And we're at about 24 degrees Celsius. And once we get down to about room temperature, that should be about it for us. I would think another half a minute, maybe a minute at the most. We already shut that off. We can see what's happening. It's really nice and quite plateaued at the bottom. And we're almost down. We're about 21 degrees Celsius. And we could continue to let this go, and eventually it's going to reach a point where the temperature is not going to move anymore. You can see how rapidly it changed, and then it was pretty slow at the very end. So it works actually really well. It's a good little lab. I'm going to hit stop, and there is our file. I'm going to save the file. You just got to type it in here. PDB Lab. And this is the file that I am going to send to you guys. And I'm also going to send myself this lab. And that should do it for us. I'm going to pause this now, and you guys should be able to get that data momentarily. Thank you.